Hi friends, welcome back to my channel Sharing Simple Knowledge. I hope everybody is doing good. I know during this pandemic it's quite difficult to work and study at the same time because of the hectic lifestyle and increasing stress from the workload and also from the pandemic situation. Anyhow, we can cross our fingers for the best. Today I'm going to discuss about a sentence structure. Do you know how to make a sentence? When I say this word, you may feel so silly when I ask this question, isn't it? But it is not so easy as you think. There are some rules which should be followed always. Do you know one thing? This is the reason many OET or IELTS aspirants fail in their writing task. Because many of them have a feeling like that. Especially for OET, I have heard many of them are saying OET doesn't need much grammar, only the simple past and present perfect tense. If you practice that one, that's enough. Just use has undergone, underwent, like that. But is that the real case? Have you ever think about that one? But I can tell you that you need grammar knowledge. You should be well practiced this grammar, then only you can achieve your score. So let's discuss in detail. I'm quite sure once you understand these loopholes, you can make your writing in a perfect manner. First of all, for that one, what we have to know? We should know how to make a sentence. The basic sentence structure we should know. So let's discuss. Sentence structure is how all the parts of a sentence fit together. Like a machine. If the machinery want to fit together, there should be a construction. If there is any missing part or something like that, it will not fit together, isn't it? So same like that. If the structure should be perfect, there are some parts we have to put in the correct format. If it plays in some other place, the meaning itself will change. So if you want to make more advanced and interesting sentences, you first have to understand how sentence structure works. Before we dive into the details, let's start by re-examining the basics. I know since our childhood we are learning basics of English language. But are you quite sure? Are we perfect in the basics? As I mentioned before, many of you have a feeling that OET does not need much grammar. However, you have to keep in mind that it is an English language stage. So what do you think? Are they examining your language or professional knowledge? Of course, language proficiency. Then it is mandatory to adhere to the rules of grammar. Let's move on to the basics parts of a sentence. As you know, every sentence requires at least a verb and a subject. We all know a verb is an action and a subject is the noun that does the action. For example, I'm waiting. In this example, I'm waiting is the verb. The main verb is wait, but when we conjugate it in the present continuous, we use the ing form. And we add the auxiliary verb am. The subject is I. The person, I is the person who waits. So I think it's clear for you. I is the subject. We are using the auxiliary verb. And wait is the verb. And in order to make it a present continuous tense or present progressive tense, what we are adding? The ing form. But the exception to this rule is imperative sentences. Do you know what is imperative sentence? That is the command, ordering sentences. That we only need a verb. No need for subject. We can just assume the subject is the person or the speaker is talking to. So stop. That means the single word is a complete sentence. No need to add any subject or object like that. Okay. Have you ever noticed some sentences? They can add objects. That means these are the nouns that also participate in the actions. Let's say one day you forgot your pen and you ask your friend to borrow theirs. For example, my friend lends me their calculator. In this example, lends is the verb and my friend is the subject because he or they are the one lending. The word calculator is what's called a direct object. That means the noun that receives the action. In this case, the direct object is the thing being lent. That is the calculator. A calculator is the one they lend. I think it's clear for you. The indirect object is the noun that receives the direct object. In the above mentioned example, what do you think? Which is the indirect object? Of course, it's me because that's who receives the calculator. Now you know what is direct and indirect object. Direct object is the thing being lent or the noun that receives the action. Indirect object is the noun that receives the direct object. Indirect objects usually comes between the verb and direct object. Let's move on to the other part. Do you notice any differences while using pronouns? You can see subject use the pronoun I, but when it comes with the objects, they use the pronouns me. Subject and object pronouns are different, so make sure you are using the right one. Don't write I with the object and don't write me with the subject. When we are talking to someone, sometimes we are making mistake with this pronoun agreement, isn't it? Have you ever noticed when you are talking? Once you realize these mistakes happening, that's the time you are learning more English. That means fluently, okay? So, only a certain type of verb called transitive verbs can use direct and indirect object. Do you know what is a transitive verb? A transitive verb means that needs a noun or pronoun to complete the meaning, whereas an intransitive verb will make sense without an object. Okay, let's see one example. Tina passes Sarah the ball. Here, the verb is passes because that's the action. Then the subject is Tina, the person who passes the ball. Then which is the direct object? Of course, the ball, because the thing being passed is the ball. Then the indirect object is Sarah, because Sarah receives the ball. I think until now it's clear for you. So let's summarize. Today we practice about subject, verb, object. And there are two types of objects, direct object and indirect object. Then there are two verbs, transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. I think it's clear for you. If you have any doubts, just comment below in the comment box. Thank you for supporting me and watching my channel. Please like and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.